Okay, ji. This question is from June 2003, paper 1, question 11. Question number 7 from the book. The function g is defined by 8x minus x square, and the domain itself is given that is x greater than equal to 4. State the domain and the range of g inverse of x. So before moving to this, you should know that gx, domain of gx can be written down as range of g inverse of x. Domain of gx can be written down as range of g inverse of x, whereas range of gx can be written down as domain of g inverse of x. Because of one-to-one function, because of inverse, the relationship is y is equal to x. The reflection in y is equal to x. When the relationship is reflection of y is equal to x, the coordinates interchange. So obviously domain becomes range and the range becomes domain. So the question says state the domain and the range of g inverse of x. For that, you need to understand the domain of gx, which is x is greater than equal to. So domain of gx is x greater than equal to 4. So if the domain of gx is x greater than equal to 4, then the range of g inverse of x will be g inverse of x greater than equal to 4, because the domain will become its range. And remember that the range is represented by g inverse of x. The range is represented by g inverse of x. Okay. Now what is missing? The missing part here is range of gx. So since we do not have range of gx, we cannot find domain of g inverse of x. But we know that we have been given a quadratic equation that is 8x minus x square. 8x minus x square, which can be shifted to ax plus b whole square plus c. This is your general form that is used in the CAI exams, or as your general form is a x minus h whole square plus k. You can eventually use any of them. So this is 8x minus x square. Let's open this entirely. Ax square plus 2axb plus ab square plus c. Now, considering that minus x square, your x square is compared to ax square. So we know that a becomes what? Minus 1. So now, when a is less than 0, so the graph moves like this. That means it will give me what? Depending upon the domain, we'll be looking forward for the what? We'll be looking forward for the increasing or decreasing function. Since its turning point will be here and the graph represented will be here, so it will be normally showing a decreasing function. It will be normally showing a decreasing function. Whereas let's just continue solving this. We have 8x can be compared to 2axb. X is cancelled. So the answer for this would be minus 4. And lastly, if you see that we have 0, we do not have constant. Constant can be compared to ab square plus c. Your a is minus 1. This is minus 4 whole square plus c. 16 minus 16. So obviously 16 will go on the other side, becomes what? Plus 16. Now since we know this is a plus 16 value. So a x plus b whole square plus c. A x, your a is negative 1. Your a is negative 1. Your b is negative 4 whole square. And your c is 16. So your turning point here is 4 comma 16. So if you note, this 4 was your domain. This 4 was your domain, and the domain was represented here. So if this 4 is domain, so automatically this will become your range. because it is considering the same points. So, but if the domain is represented by x greater than equal to 4, then your range will be represented by fx less than equal to 16. Why did I do less than equal to 16? Because my a was less than 0 and the graph would be like this. Since it is representing x greater than equal to 4, so that means if I just put down this thing in the graph, so that means your y-intercept is 0 here, your value of y is 16. So that means your x, this will become your domain, whereas this will become your range. But all values are less than. So we will write this thing as what range is fx less than equal to 16. But remember, this was not the question. The question was range of gx. Now you know that your range of gx is fx less than equal to 16. Fx less than equal to 16. So similarly, your domain of G inverse of x is represented by fx. Your domain of G inverse of x is represented by fx. So I'll write down fx and this will be fx is less than equal to 16. Why did this happen? Because range of gx is basically the domain of G inverse of x. Range of gx is basically the domain of G inverse of x. So your range of gx is x less than equal to 16. So the domain of G inverse of x will be fx less than equal to 16. Please note that your domain of gx is represented by x. Your range of gx is represented by fx. Your domain of G inverse of x is represented by fx. Your range of G inverse of x is represented by G inverse of x. These are very important points. Now, find an expression in terms of x for G inverse of x. Again, it's the same thing that we need to understand. We'll start from the point where the question has given fx minus x minus 4 whole square plus 16. Your quadratic equation does not give inverse. Your quadratic equation does not give inverse unless it tells me a point where it starts one-to-one function, and that one-to-one function is normally started from the turning point. So that means your inverse will start from the turning point expression, which is completing the square form. So if we just shift this will be y minus 16. Since this is minus, we have, this was 1. Since this is minus, your y will convert minus and this will convert plus. We'll be using under root because square will shift down, and we will have what? Plus 4. Your x becomes the subject. So we have G inverse of x plus 16, let's say minus x plus 44. So this becomes your expression, but one thing is missing, plus sign or minus sign, because we need to give either plus, either minus. So if you note, then my general form is x is greater than equal to 4. So if we just substitute 4 square 8 multiplied by 4 minus 4 square. So 8 fours becomes 32 minus 16. Your answer is what? 16. But now if I substitute 5, so this means 8 into 5 minus 5 square. 8 into 5 is 40 minus 25 will give me 15. Now if you see that when I inserted the value, I got to know that when x is increasing, my y is decreasing. My x is increasing, so y is decreasing. So whenever there is x increase and y decrease, I automatically know that it is a decreasing function. But you should be well aware that normally your decreasing function comes through the substitution, but still you can guess it through the curve as well. Your curve suggests that from turning point, x is greater than equal to 4. That means only this part is taken into consideration. When this part is taken into consideration, we particularly know this from here to this here, when x is increasing, your y is decreasing in the graph. Your x from every point of x, if you see, at this point your x is increasing, but your y is what? Decreasing. So obviously we'll be writing down negative sign here. So this in the end we'll write down as g inverse of x 4 minus under root 16 minus x. This will be your expression. The question was from June 2003, paper 1, question 11, question number 7 from the book.